Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. Today is July 6th. It's a Friday for me. For you guys, it will probably be a Saturday or maybe later in the week. I don't know. I'm Liesbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is all about, well, this week it's all about knitting. I'm not really sure if I already said this or not, but if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for joining me, and if you are a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. It really means a lot that you take some time to spend it with me. I do have one very exciting announcement to make right up front, so I will start with that, and that is my Etsy store, which is open now. So I hope that it's not going to be sold out by the time that you guys will see this, but in all honesty, I don't think that's going to happen. So realistically speaking, I don't think I know that many people that were like trying to find my Etsy store even though it didn't exist yet, but it does now, and I will be selling these kinds of bags. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you will have seen quite a few of these. I think I had finished this one last week, and then I made a few more this week, but it's not really relevant to keep on talking about this. I would like to mention that I don't intend to keep on talking about these bags very often anymore, unless it's like for something that is like giveaway related, because I don't want this to be just some kind of commercial to try and sell my bags, but for now, up until now, it has been mostly a creative process in the lead up to starting a company, and that's actually happening right now. So yeah, from this point on, there will be no more sales pitches or anything about these bags, because, well, let's be honest, if this is going to be my work, then it's no reason for me to talk about this very much anymore. So if you want to buy these bags, my store is on Etsy, and it's called Knitting Teaspoon. So I believe you can find it by going to Etsy and then go to www.etsy.com/shop/knittingteaspoon. It will be in the down bar because, of course, it's difficult to remember an URL, and it will also be in the description box. So that was it about my shop, but I'm really excited about this, and we will see where this will go, you know. Maybe it will be a start of a new big adventure. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the content of this podcast. I would like to quickly mention that I'm wearing a Rosa shirt dress today because it is hot here in the Netherlands where I live. There's large differences actually in temperature in the Netherlands, but I live in the southeast, and that's been the hottest part. Well, it's usually the hottest part of the country, and it has been in the past few weeks as well. And more importantly than being very hot, it has also been very dry. So we have had some forest fire things going on in the Netherlands. Luckily, nothing major, nothing too serious. I don't believe there were any casualties or anything, but it is affecting everyone. We were everyone was invited not to use their bathtubs anymore, to not take baths, to be careful in how much they water in the plants outside, to be as sparingly with water as possible because it has been extremely dry. This is not a weather podcast either, so let's get into the actual knitting of this week. But it has been on my mind and I wanted to tell you guys. So, I have been knitting a little bit on my blanket, as I always do. And also with this blanket, I feel like there's not really much different to tell about this blanket than there was last week. Last week, I believe I had just started yellow section over here, but I did want to share it anyway, because I believe that there are many people who have started at some point a blanket to knit, and these projects are simply huge. It takes a long time and a lot of effort to complete a blanket such as this. So for all you guys out there who are also working on a blanket, just a big heads up, even if you just make a tiny bit of progress every time, any bit of progress counts towards the end result. So heads up for everyone who's also working on a blanket. Feel free to tag me on Instagram or anything to let me know that you're also working on the blanket. If you do, it would be fun to see some other people's projects. There's a tiny bit of progress on my blanket. So this week I have also continued knitting on my socks that I'm knitting 2 at a time, or at least until now I am doing so, and I've turned the heels, and I've heard a lot of people say that it's easier to do that on other needles, like not 2 at a time, but honestly, usually I knit my socks just using shorter circular needles, and you just knit back and forth in the heel, like I use a short row heel, and I have a tiny gusset going on and a mini heel flap here. So yeah, that's you knit a bit of back and forth in the short rows and in the heel flap, but apart from that, it's not really, well, it doesn't really matter that this part is also dangling on your on your cable, because, well, you're just knitting back and forth. And one thing that I think might be more annoying if you're knitting 2 at a time socks, I don't purl on my socks. So it's not a garter stitch, it's just that I mirror knit. So instead of turning my work and now on this side start to purl, I will, well, you guys will not be able to see this, but this is what a regular knit stitch would look like. So for you guys this will look more like a purl stitch, I guess. But if I want to go the other direction, I just mirror knit this and I go the other way. So for me, there's no turning around the piece all the time. So I think that may help if you're bothered with 2 at a time knitting. But then again, everyone's free to choose their own favorite method. I've used several different methods to try and knit socks. I've worked with heel flap and gussets and no short row at all. I've knit on DPNs, I've knit on circulars, I've knit on short circulars. So anything's possible, really. I believe it's just a matter of taste. But these socks have grown quite a bit since last week. They're nowhere near being finished. I was around here when I last podcasted. I believe I popped in the stitch marker a bit late, so I may have been a few rows back. I don't remember. But as you can see, I'm past the heel on both socks, and now I'm running into a problem with these socks. And this problem is actually due to knitting 2 at a time socks, because on the foot of my sock, like the bottom part, the part that goes under your foot, I don't do any patterning. So both socks are completely empty on this side, as you will be able to see. But there's patterning going on this side. And this pattern actually uses one stitch more than half of the number of stitches. So actually there's slightly more than half the sock is patterned and slightly less than half is not patterned. But if I want to continue this pattern in the round up on the leg, I will have to occasionally do a knit two together with the stitches, with the first stitch on the back side and the last stitch on the front side and the other way around, so on the other side. And that gives me a problem when I'm trying to knit two at a time, because I can't, on this side it's not so much a problem, it's just a matter of shifting your magic loop position. That's okay, I can do that. But on this side I can't shift this stitch because there's another sock in the way. So I will have to continue knitting these on separate needles. Now, luckily I do have two pairs of higher sharps, short or shorter circular needles. I use 60 centimeters, or I believe that's 24 inches needles, and these are 2 millimeters, which I knit all my socks on. But the needle tips are in this project, so it's not really convenient. So maybe I pause this project after I've finished the entire square. I don't know. I could, because I've actually bought some more yarn, which I'll get to in in this episode as well. But yeah, other than that, other than a small hiccup that I did not see coming at all when I was thinking of the design, yeah, they are coming along just great. So, hey. And for those of you who don't know, this yarn is by Lily Pond Yarns, and it's their teal tussle colorway, and I believe it's a 75-25 merino nylon blend. And this is something they actually told me in their podcast group. Lily Pond Yarns, they also have a podcast, so if you haven't checked them out, please do. They started around the same time when I started podcasting, but I believe they have an episode approximately once a month. So there's not that much, like not as an overwhelmingly long backlog if you want to check them out from the beginning. But it's a fun podcast, so I would definitely recommend it. So, yeah, this is my socks out of the Lily Pond Yarns, and I'm knitting this for knit along that they are hosting, which is one skein along, so for projects made out of one skein. And speaking of which, I have decided to cast on a new project this week, and this was really a treat for me, based on the fact that I have been offered a job. So it's very exciting. I won't say anything about the details just yet, and I'm not really sure how much I am going to share about this in the future, but the contract has not been signed yet, so yeah, I don't want to get my own hopes up too high or anything, or be enthusiastic about something that maybe does not happen in the end after all. So it looks like I will have a job very soon. So I decided to treat myself and cast on with this yarn. Yeah, unfortunately I haven't got a clue what kind of yarn this is. This is yarn that was given to me by a friend from Stockholm. So while I was still in Stockholm, so I believe about 2 years ago, there was this girl, and I will not mention her name because she has not... I haven't asked her if I could share her name, but she gave me this cake of yarn, so it was already caked up in this gorgeous, well, I'd say it's a teal color, but it's definitely not the same color as the teal tussle, so honestly I don't know when something is called teal or light blue, and I believe the teal color, on the pictures it shows up a lot more blue, but in real life it looks a lot more green, like This yarn really looks more green to me than blue, but on pictures that I've posted on Instagram, it definitely looks a lot more blue. So I don't know what color it is. Maybe my eyes are fooling me. Maybe it's a camera. I don't know what it is. But I've been using this yarn, and it's a lace weight yarn. And there's probably some cashmere content in it. But this girl had tried to knit something with it and decided that she didn't like it, so she had shrugged her project and decided to destash the yarn. And I traded a cake for a cake, so I gave her a piece of actual cake, like the type of cake that you can eat. And in return, I got this cake of yarn. And ever since, I've been trying to come up with a design, and I have had some ideas for a shawl, but instead I decided to go for something else entirely, and here it is. Very exciting. I know you guys will think this is probably a bit of a weird shape. There's a bit of a lace detail going on here. I don't know how well you will be able to see it, but it's a heart shape here. And this is going to be the back of a summer top, and I've just cast off some stitches for the neckline, and I am knitting on like one of the shoulder straps. So of course this is a bit of an awkwardly slim top for the front side, but this is going to be the back side, and then I'm going to knit to the front side. And I've cast on using the type of cast on that I also use for my socks. So I believe it's called Turkish cast on, which is very similar to Judy's Magic cast on, but it's not quite the same. I believe this one is actually easier to do, although you might actually lose stitches more easily, so I don't know. If you don't drop your stitches, this might be easier or less work, but the other one is a bit of a safer bet, I'd say. So but they are on hold, so that's where my cute little Haya pandas needle stopper, or whatever these things are called, are screwed on the ends of a short piece of cable. And right after the cast on, I've started decreasing for the armhole, which will be slightly wide on the back side. This is actually an adapted version of a pink top that I've been wearing a few episodes ago. I can't remember which one, but I will probably look it up and put it down here. It's not that much work to check out on which episode I was wearing my clothes, because usually it's visible from the screenshot. But I have been wearing a very bright pink top over a shirt that I've sewn a few episodes ago, and that was a design. It also had this lace detail in the back, so I was talking about the lace detail in the episode that I did not actually show you guys, because it was kind of behind my hair, so there was no way that I could really properly show you guys. So this time it's in blue, so maybe a heart is more appropriate for pink, I don't know. But I really like using this yarn, and I must say it feels so good to actually be using this yarn that has been in my stash as well for, well, 2 years, maybe even slightly over 2 years. And I'm finally turning it into a very summery project, and it also feels good to work on a summer project rather than a heavy cardigan that I will be able to wear in winter. So even though I'm very happy with my cabled cardigan, of course I haven't worn it because it is hot. So I believe that's about all that I can share about this project. I know that it's a design project, but I will gladly show it to you anyway. So, and then there is one more project that I wanted to talk about this week, and it's actually not really started yet. But I did purchase the yarn for it this week, so I wanted to share that with you guys anyway. So this is Lana Grossa Merino Uno, which I purchased earlier today at my local yarn store, which is called Bloemendal Wool. And apparently they even ship to Australia if necessary. So yeah, you can by all means check out their website. They actually have quite a nice website, I believe. Not as organized as some could be, but pretty decent, I'd say. Yeah, so this is the yarn that I bought, and I am planning to knit a shawl out of this. And I'm not a big fan of shawl knitting, mostly because I already have plenty of shawls that I do not even wear, because I don't wear a lot of shawls. I do wear shawls, but there's actually only two that I really wear quite often, and then there's one more that I use for special occasions, and then there's quite a few that I have been wearing when I had a neck injury, but otherwise really would not use that often. But I want to knit a shawl for my grandma, because I got the spinning wheel from her, and these books behind me, I don't know if you will be able to see them. I can't remember if I put my camera so that you can see them from there. But yeah, she really means a lot to me, and I want to thank her, and I want to give her something. And this will be a birthday present for her. Her birthday is coming up in slightly over 2 weeks from now. So I will have to cast on quickly and start knitting on this the shawl that I'm planning for. And the shawl that I'm planning to knit is called the Gerbera. I don't know how you pronounce this, but it's a shawl by Linnea Ornstein, which is a person that I've actually met in Stockholm. She was also part of the Stockholm Night Knitters group. And yeah, I already knit this shawl once before, so I have it here with me. So this is the Gerbera. I don't know if this picture is making it any clearer because it's big. But this is knit out of Ullcentrum 2-ply yarn. I believe it's a sport weight yarn. It's 100 meters, 100 grams is 300 meters. So yeah, the yarn that I've purchased now is slightly thicker than this yarn, but I believe that will be okay. So I purchased some more yarn to be sure that I will have enough, some more yardage, if you will. But yes, this is a kind of floral lacy pattern going on here. I believe this is about the center of it. No, here's the center. Here's the center. And yeah, I believe you will be able to see kind of what it looks like from here. And then there's the second half that's about the same as this one. And I have been wearing this shawl since I've last washed it. I don't wash my shawls very often because there's really no need to. Wool has gorgeous self-cleaning purposes, and as I've mentioned, this is unfortunately not one of the shawls that I use a lot. I used it quite a bit when I was in Stockholm, but back here in the Netherlands I have more shawls to choose from, and there's another shawl that I knit that I use a lot more for summertime, and then there's another shawl that's more scarf-like actually. It's less deep, and I prefer that type of shawl because I usually use my shawls more as scarves than as wraps or anything. Personal preferences, I guess. But yeah, I want to knit this shawl again and give some love to the pattern again. And with that to Linnea, of course. And yeah, I will be using this blue wool because I know that my grandma loves blue. And I haven't got a clue if this is showing up all right, but let's just get on it. Otherwise, it's color 24 from the Merino Uno. So I believe that's it for today. I think this is a rather short episode, but really I don't feel like I have that much more important stuff to talk about this week. So if you guys feel like you miss any kind of content, please let me know. But otherwise, yeah, I just hope you guys have a lovely week, and I will be enjoying next week, and then probably the week after I will start working. So I hope there's going to be a lot of crafting next week, and after that we will have to see how things go. But yeah, have a lovely week and see you again next week. Bye!